So if you would mind, first start off by who are you, if you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Rob Bardunias. I live in Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin. I am the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer of GetSwift, which is a global logistics and resource management company, originally out of Australia, now based out of New York. But we are public in Toronto on the NEO Stock Exchange in Toronto. So now technically we're Canadian via Australia and New York, but I'm in Wisconsin. So welcome to the post-pandemic world.
So what is it you exactly do for GetSwift?
I've been trying to explain that to my mother for probably about 3 years. So, as Chief Operating Officer and to a certain extent Chief Financial Officer, managing the resources of the company and its growth. So we're in over 70 countries worldwide, managing exactly what you would think. So the last mile, getting products directly into customers' hands. We're democratizing logistics technology so that you don't have to rely on Amazon. Sure, you can use, FedEx and UPS as you would as a third-party logistical delivery. But to our point, with PPP funding, you had a whole subset of small businesses that had employees that they had to choose whether they wanted to keep or not, got loans, kept them, and now looked at them each morning and said, what are we going to do with you, Aaron? Like, what can we do? And so a lot of those were small businesses, and we gave them the tools to say, hey, you may not, for example, hardware stores, or even better yet, farmers markets. So when you think about all this went down in the spring, we're leading into the summer, and you had all these farmers markets that couldn't do anything. And so one of the longest standing farmers markets is in Colorado. They're a couple 100 years old, which is staggering to think of. And they were always open, but they couldn't find a way to distribute. So we talked with them, and we were like, everyone's got a cell phone. Here's how you set it up. We'll set up a few of your drivers. There'll be perimeters where they can go. And as you get orders in, we'll just funnel them out. They did 5 times more business than they had done before. And they left. They were like, well, that was a good run. Hopefully we'll get to that again. And here we are a year later. And they are now, again, small business-wise, it's 10 times. It's 15 times. They've opened up 2 more locations, which aren't really farmers markets. They're just distribution hubs in somebody's parking lot. And it's booming. And so that was the kind of model that applied to not just small businesses, but medium and enterprise as well. So, you look at customers, large scale corporate customers that make pizza. You have delivery, sure. But for people who didn't want to wait for delivery, there was pickup. You use the same methodology for that. So we had this system that we called virtual drive-thrus, which is nothing more of inverting the API calls to say, hey, I'm going to treat you, Aaron, you, Rob, as drivers, even though you're coming to pick up the pizza from here. I'll set up little beacons, some geofencing. So when you get into parking lot A7, ping, Aaron's here. Somebody runs out, drops off the pizza. And so that, in short, has been my career, has been taking technology, because I have a computer engineering background, but I also have an MBA in finance, is saying, hey, what are the economics? What are what's the quark of our business model? And how do I make more of those? How do I transcend that out of just delivery to a customer? How do I invert that tech? How do I use it in new ways? So construction. So again, to our point, infrastructure. Everyone's moving towards infrastructure. And so I spent probably about 2 months with our engineers and said, how do we make this work for construction? And so now think about it. You break a work site down into sectors. And because of the regulations that exist with either the workers' unions or even just with OSHA and all these others, you can't have people work in the same sector of a construction site within a certain vector. It can't be within 6 feet of each other. Okay, everyone's got cell phones. Let's start looking at it that way. So now I can schedule in sector 152 the plumber, the electrician, and the carpenter, all within 15-minute increments of each other. We can automate to a certain extent cleaning those areas if they're indoor. If they're outdoor, we can follow the rules of what threshold we need in between times. And now you can start tracking people moving in and out. Did Aaron finish early? Great. What's the time that we need to wait? 22 minutes for cleaning? Awesome. Rob's going to be notified that he's got to step up his schedule in 22 minutes. Is Rob late? Now everyone knows Rob's late, as opposed to construction before. And this is where it gets interesting, where you start hearing some of their problems. It was like, well, we thought Aaron was there yesterday. No, Aaron wasn't there. Are you serious? So are we behind? Now you know. Aaron, there is no hiding. I know when you don't hit that sector because the geofencing doesn't go off, and I know exactly where you were. So Aaron starts turning off his phone. Okay, Aaron, would you like another job? No. Turn your phone back on. So, I mean, it's interesting how these, especially in our industry, everyone's working on food. You know what I mean? Like, how do I get more pizza, more of this, more of that? Got it. That's a race to the middle, if not the bottom. Question is, how do we do that for sporting goods, clothing, hardware, like hardware stores? We've done a really good job of trying to diversify outside of just one category. And blessing or curse, we're in over 70 industries now, over 70 countries, and it all runs through me, which is a bit exhausting, which is why I don't have a blazer on and you do, because it's 24 hours a day. Yeah, that's what we do.